Hello. 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 Haha. Haha. You can't get me. I'm safe when I'm in here. This is a Mega Man shop. I'm pretty safe. Ha 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 ha. Look at this. Nemesis is scared of Mega Man. He doesn't want to come in this shop because Mega Man is here protecting it. Yeah. I'm totally screwed when I walk outside. Oh, crap. What's up, everyone? I'm the KnK, and this is my quick review of Resident Evil 3, the new remake for PS4. Resident Evil 3 is the remake to Resident Evil 3 Nemesis that came out on the PlayStation 1 in 1999. As you should recall, last year Resident Evil 2 came out, which was my first ever video game review. I had a blast with that game. It was my favorite game of 2019. I've replayed it over and over. I played it back at the beginning of the year several times. Then I played it in October for Halloween, and then I just got done replaying that one again before this new one came out. So I absolutely loved it. It's one of my favorite games of this gaming generation. It's my favorite Resident Evil game overall, which is kind of funny since the old Resident Evil 2 was my favorite Resident Evil game. Now Resident Evil 2 is once again my favorite Resident Evil game. Not saying that 4 wasn't great. 4 is a great game, but I have a love-hate thing with 4. Anyway, Resident Evil 3 is, as I said, a remake to Nemesis. One thing I want to note is that the footage you are seeing of me playing this game is from my second playthrough for the most part, which is why I have an infinite ammo rocket launcher with me, because I went and farmed for points so I could buy the rocket launcher, so that in my second playthrough I could blow everything up that gave me a problem. Except, what's interesting though is Nemesis is still not easy despite having a rocket launcher, because he can actually sidestep out of the way of your rockets. Don't think because you have a rocket launcher you're totally invincible. I still died from Nemesis a couple times while playing this game because of that. Now let me get a few negatives out of the way. First, yes, the game is super short. It's kind of weird how the time works from your score overall to what your game time is, because my first playthrough I was like at 8 hours and 10 minutes when I finished the game, but it said I beat the game in just over 6 hours. And then my second playthrough, I played it for about 4 hours, but then it said I beat the game in about 2 hours and 54 minutes. I'm not exactly sure why there's a discrepancy there in time. Maybe it doesn't count the cutscenes. Maybe it doesn't count how many times you had to restart over and over. Whatever the case may be, there are some discrepancies between the time you see at the top of the screen when you get paused to what your actual game time is when the game finishes. However, for me, it's a Resident Evil game. I expect Resident Evil games to be short. In fact, I like my Resident Evil games to be short. I don't want my Resident Evil games to go on and on and on. Like, I loved Alien Isolation, but that was a perfect example of a horror game that just kept going. Because right at the spot where it felt like the game should have ended, it then continued on with the whole synthetics attacking you, and then the xenomorph came back, and then it continued on and on. And it did just get a tad boring after a while. I don't want my horror games to be more than a few hours. Yes, $60 might seem like a lot for a game that's only a couple hours long, but you know what? For me at least, I take quality over quantity. I would rather have a $60 amazing 5-hour game than a $60 bore-fest 100+ hour game. Elder Scrolls Fallout. I know some people are saying this game should have been DLC. I totally disagree. I want a physical copy. Now, do I think it is a $60 game? It's hard to say, because I mean, back in the PlayStation 1 era, again, we were paying $50 for 2-3 hour long games. So, $60 for what would take me 6 to 8 hours first playthrough? It's hard to say. I mean, I did technically only pay $40 since $20 of it was in Best Buy reward coupons, but that will just be up to you, the individual, if you think it's worth it. I think it was worth it. Even if I paid the full $60, I thought it was worth it. It's for you to decide, not me. For me, it's worth it. There are some other negatives towards the game. I don't like the lack of puzzles. There's only like 3-4 puzzles in the entire game, and they're not even that really thought-provoking puzzles. It's just like find item A to go to item B to open item C. That was kind of a disappointment. I wish there were a little bit more puzzles, but on the other hand, in Resident Evil 3, if you've played the original PlayStation game, the city had these weird puzzles. It's like, why would you lock City Hall behind crystals on this casing, and the crystals are removable? That makes no sense. Or, okay, why would you program this pool to only empty if you have the statue? It was a lot of confusion as to why stuff would be done in the city. So there not being any puzzles in this city does make sense because it is a city. I don't think there's any city that goes out of the way to make puzzle elements in their city unless it's for some type of event. The other negative I have towards it is that it kind of rehashes some of the same things Resident Evil 2 did in the last part of the game, which was a little bit disappointing. Okay, there are people that are complaining about cut content from this game. I have no problem with it because people are like, oh, the clock tower, the park, and the dead factory were cut. Well, okay, the dead factory was the last section of the game. It didn't quite make sense again, but I was okay with it because then it wasn't just rehashing the lab from Resident Evil 2. Like I said, this game kind of rehashes something. The clock tower, going inside the clock tower just wouldn't make sense in this game from a narrative perspective, especially because the hospital is supposed to be right by the clock tower, so when something happens, Carlos goes to the hospital. It makes sense in this game for him to go to the hospital. In the old game, Carlos went to the clock tower, then went to the hospital. Why? I don't know. But from a narrative perspective, it wouldn't make sense to explore the clock tower. Again, that's up to you. I personally had no problem with it. Now, for the positives, I loved how atmospheric and suspenseful this game was. There were scenes when I was constantly just slowly creeping away, looking around paranoid. When I was going through the hospital section of the game, even with Carlos's cool assault rifle, I'm there like, just creeping around, sneaking, being as quiet, trying to listen to every noise around me from my surround sound system. It was very fun, very intense. And then when certain things happen, I'm like, oh shit, no! The sewers in the game was so intense. Oh my god. As was this little spider area. I felt the game was more atmospheric, more suspenseful, more tense than the original game. Nemesis I thought was really well done. I was fearing that Nemesis was going to be like Mr. X, where he was just going to be following you the entire game over and over, which would get annoying because Mr. X was a pain in the ass the first time I went through Resident Evil 2. Fortunately, they did not do that here outside of Nemesis in one section. For the most part, Nemesis is kept scripted like he was in the original PS1 game, which was nice. I don't think it would have worked any other way. The dodge mechanic is kind of cool because it does work well on Nemesis. In fact, the dodge mechanic that they added to this game works better on Nemesis than any other creature. On the downside, they got rid of the defensive items. Once you beat the game, you have access to a shop that utilizes points. You gain points for your gameplays, whether it's how many enemies you killed with a certain weapon, anything you did, if you found all these items or all those items, all the files, all these little bobblehead guys, you get points. You can put your points towards purchases in the shop, which is how I unlocked the infinite ammo rocket launcher. I also now unlock the infinite ammo assault rifle, which is kind of funny because in the original Resident Evil 3, I would always play through with the infinite ammo assault rifle and rocket launcher because those were what I bought when I played the Mercenaries game in there. There's various items. You can buy yourself a lockpick and the bolt cutter so you can use them right at the beginning of the game. You can buy infinite ammo handgun. You can buy items to increase your defense abilities, your healing capabilities, side packs to give you more room. Another positive though is I felt the story was more engaging. I love that Jill and Carlos actually had great one-liners that continued from Resident Evil 2. There were such great moments found in this game, especially with some areas with Carlos that I just love. When you're in the police station, you have this.
Now here's a weird fucking door.
Leave it. We're here for Bart.
And then this.
Yeah. Welcome, Leon. Bet you had a kick-ass first day.
Those were absolutely fun. There's some other one-liners he does. My favorite line in the game comes from Joe at this scene here.
Bitch can't swim.
Again, they made Jill and Carlos feel like actual people, actual characters. Jill I never really liked in the first place until now. Now it's like, wow, she actually has a personality. I want to see more of what they're going to do with this Jill and this Carlos. Nikolai is far more interesting in this game than he was in the old game. He's not as cartoony either, which was a good thing. As I said, I enjoyed myself immensely. Yes, there are negatives to the game, But I would say the positives outweigh the negatives, which is why I'm giving Resident Evil 3 an 8 out of 10. Have you played Resident Evil 3? If so, what did you think of it? What did you not like about it? Have you played the original? Which do you like more? Do you like them both equally? I enjoy them both equally, and they both have things I don't like equally about it. Let me know in the comments. Click like, click subscribe, click the bell notification, click whatever else YouTube has you clicking on to support me. You can support me on Patreon at Kaijun Okami, Twitter Kaijun Okami, Instagram Kaijun Okami, Facebook Kaijun Okami, Discord Kaijun Okami, and my website creativitybydesignllc.com. Until next time, bye.